Hey, and welcome to Animal World Live. And as I said in a few posts, we're going to be trying to produce a bit more content for you guys who are stuck at home and bring you a bit more of the African wild. Sorry, Vim, what was that? I can't hear you, Vim. You're cutting out. Oh, my mic is falling off. Oh, thank you, Vim. I thought my mic wasn't working. Hi, guys. Let's see who we've got here. Yes, and I was with you guys watching there. It was very, very sad. And Safari Live has been a big part of all our lives and Wild Earth. So it is very sad. And I have complete faith that Graham will be back and he will make a new deal. He is an expert at that. And I hope, and my fingers are crossed, that it won't be too long till those live drives come back to Juma. So yes, it's very, very sad. Well, we're going to try to be positive here on Animal World Live. So as I said, we're going to chat a little bit about what's going on in the world of the animals. We're going to try to do this 3 times a week now. So keep a lookout for it. It'll be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday will be the main show with a guest. So it's great to have you here. And I said, very trying times, very sad times. Hello, everyone. Let's see who we got here. We got Betty, Darcy, Cookie, Marisha, Madash, Goo, Chris, Sinak, Marcy, Betty, Arena. Hi, everyone. So we're going to dive into this. Firstly, thank you for joining us all here on Animal World Live, bonus edition. As I said, 2 bonus editions a week, and the main show will be moved to Friday. We've got some exciting stuff coming up this week. As you know, Brian has been working hard, and Brian wants to be a guide. So Scientific Names Explained are going to be coming back, and we're going to be doing quite a few of those every week. But they will not be hosted by moi. They will be hosted by Brian, and that's going to be part of his studying. So while he's learning about all the animals and their scientific names, he's going to be, one of the ways he's going to learn is to actually help teach you where all the different scientific names come from and the breakdown of them. And here we go. Hello, Shangila Dream. Hi, everyone. So many people here. Thanks so much for joining us. So basically, we've got quite a few. All right, so there we go. Some of our patrons. Mars54 saw Brian on camera yesterday. We left him to our patrons to grill and quiz, and he did a fantastic job. So we're quite excited to get Brian out in front of camera and doing some presenting. We will hopefully be getting him to do some presenting with me on Animal World Live as well, since we are going to be doing lots more shows. Now, as I said, we've been up to do lots of things. We've been doing quite a lot of stuff this week. We've been running around. We've been working on some interesting deals. And as everyone in the world knows, Corona has affected everyone. We were, in theory, going to be doing a really exciting shoot for the Kruger National Park, traveling all the way from the north to the south. Fingers crossed, all our pending work at the moment has been postponed. Nothing's been officially cancelled yet. So hopefully when the world calms down, we're going to be able to carry on with those. But this week we got a phone call from Rhino Revolution. You met Anna from Rhino Revolution on Animal World Live last week, and we got to go release some animals, and we got a nice little snippet to show you what we were up to. I think it was 2 days ago. We are here with Rhino Revolution, and we're doing something very, very exciting today. We're going to be releasing some jackals into the Boma where the wild dogs were. Now, of course, about 2-3 years ago, there was a major rabies outbreak that completely decimated the canine population in this area. So this is a reintroduction program to try and get 60 to 70% of what would have naturally occurring here before the rabies outbreak, so we can get the numbers up to where they should be. Now, these jackals that are being released here have been already treated for rabies and distemper with inoculations, so they are going to be safe. And this is an amazing, amazing step, and we've got to thank Rhino Revolution and their hard work in getting these jackals here and getting them back out into the wild. We're here with Rhino Revolution's resident jackal expert, Philip, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about where these jackals have come from.
So these guys come from Gauteng. Most of these guys, they have a bit of an unfortunate start in life, but thank you for people in Gauteng that's rehabilitated them they got them hand reared, and we just actually brought them this site for a second release. So we're now at stage 2 release site Boma. So they'll stay here for a couple of weeks until we can get them going.
Very exciting, and just another one of the many things the incredible guys at Rhino Revolution do. It's not only about rhinos, pangolins, anti-poaching, but they're there to help all the different creatures, big and small. How cool was that? That was a really amazing experience. I just want to say a quick thank you, a massive thank you actually to Patty, Marcy and Darcy. We really appreciate all the support. But that was really, really cool. 3 of the jackals didn't want to come out. The weather was quite foul. It was cold and windy. You can see I was wearing a jacket. But they did eventually all come out. So very exciting. We have released a few onto the reed spray already. So those jackals all come from Gauteng. So for those of you who don't know who Gauteng is a province of South Africa. We live in Limpopo. Gauteng is where Johannesburg and Pretoria are. And on the outskirts of Gauteng and the Highveld there around the Johannesburg and that, there are quite a lot of resident jackal. However, there are a lot of roads sometimes, and the mothers will get killed as roadkill, or shot by farmers, or sometimes people find dens and pick up the babies thinking they're being cute. But you must remember, if you truly love wild animals, you don't keep them in cages. So these jackal were rehabilitated at a rescue center in outside Johannesburg. They were then driven down here to the Lowvelds, where they spent a night at the Rhino Revolution orphanage before being moved into the big Boma. Now, the oldest is about 6 months, the youngest is about 6 months, the oldest is about 8 months. And they will spend a month or so in the Boma before being released back into the Rietspruit Game Reserve. Oh, thank you, Yvonne! And so the reason we are reintroducing jackals into the area, we actually had a very healthy population 4 years ago. And it is definitely one of my favorite sounds to hear out in the African bush. Meow, meow. I'm not very good at imitating jackal, but I can try. Oh, Chloe picked up her ears there. She thinks I'm good, but I'm her dad. So very exciting stuff. So the plan is to release about 60 to 70% of what would have naturally been occurring, and then they should be able to breed back up to their full numbers, and then nature will take its course, whether it be predation by other predators or fighting between jackal pairs, should keep the numbers in check. So very, very exciting. Tom, excellent question. How big is the and then Noel answered there, a month they will stay about in the Boma. How big is the Boma, and does it change the animal's behavior if kept in too long? It can do, but generally around Bomas, we are, depending on the species, you can be quite strict. So strangely enough, the canids, jackals and wild dogs, have not too much of a natural fear of man. And you can encounter things like wild dogs and jackals in the most remote places where they probably haven't seen people, and they're actually quite curious and come up to you. So it's not such a big deal when they're in a Boma. With things like lions, we make sure people don't walk around the Boma. You must always view them from the vehicle, and the same goes for elephants and certain things like that. So how you approach and deal with animals in the Boma is completely dependent on the species, and you can't have a blanket rule for everything. So different animals are approached differently, but yes, there can be negative effects if you leave them in the Boma too long. But we are very careful with our Boma procedures, and we make sure they're in there for just the right amount of time. Betty, yes, it was the same Boma used for the wild dogs. It was the same Boma used for Bucket and BB's mom and auntie and the cub's mom and the 3 male lions. So they were in that Boma when I was still at Safari Live, so that's why you didn't get to see them in the Boma. It is also hopefully going to be used for elephants in the near future, and it's about 2 hectares, so 4 acres, so it's quite a big Boma. Okay, let's see who's got any more questions on jackals or whatnot. And also, a new little thing we're going to try today is if anyone's noticed any news out there in the wildlife world, we'll call it the news today. And I've actually saved some news that I spotted in the last couple of days, which I found quite interesting. And, oh, thank you so much, Darshan. I love snacks. We're not going to put a camera up. The jackals are quite small, so they're not, and the Boma's quite big, so we're probably not going to see them too easily. So we're not going to put a camera up there. Connie Babe, is this the new Brent in the Tent? Well, it's the painted dog version of Brent in the Tent. This is one of our sets, which is outside. We actually have another set outside, which is where we have a fire, but we're not going to make a fire tonight. But okay, so yes, Barbara, I did see that the pangolin market in Gabon is decreased for now, and that's thanks to the incredible work by the Gabonese National Parks and various other conservation organizations that work hand in hand with them. But as I said, we're going to try, just for today. Oh no, why did it go away? I saved it and everything. There it is, I saved it. Now, I'm sure some of you have noticed that there's been some photos on social media about a pink manta ray in Australia. And as far as the world knows, it is the only pink manta ray in Australia. And initially, it was thought to be either from an infection, but it turns out not. It's actually quite a rare color variation, and it is called erythrism. So mantas are normally black and white or black, or black and white, or mottled or black. I've been lucky enough to dive and free dive with mantas, so it is very, very cool. So I do go have a look on and just type in pink manta ray. You'll find pictures of it. It is absolutely gorgeous, and as far as they know, it is the only pink manta ray in the world, and it has only been seen since 2015, and it's around I've forgotten the name of the island in Australia, and his nickname is wonderful. I don't know if anyone can guess his nickname. His nickname is Inspector Clouseau, after the Pink Panther. So very, very cool. I'm just trying to see here. Free diving, the southernmost island of Australia's Great Barrier Reef. So if you're in Australia, maybe go have a see. If you're a diver, go see if you can spot Inspector Clouseau, the male pink manta ray. Here we go. Let's see. Let's have a look if we've got any other questions. Thank you very much, Anna. Yes, we are hustling here to make sure that we can keep providing you content. And again, a massive thank you to our supporters here on Super Chat and our patrons. And we're going to try our best to get you as much great wildlife content as possible, and especially while you're at home. I might even throw out some random chats off my phone from the field, so keep a lookout. So Michael Fleetwood, there's a very interesting question here. Is there any indication that China's demand for pangolin has decreased? Now, there's been a lot of information about because of the coronavirus and the banning of certain products and wild animal products, but it probably will not affect things like pangolin for the moment, unfortunately. They are still legal the scales are still legal to purchase, etc. However, there will be a decrease in stuff like pangolin scales and stuff moving purely because of the lockdown that the world is facing. So, however, whether the long-term, implications of that, we're going to have to wait and see. Chris, I did see that the Kruger Park rangers killed a lion because it was going into a certain area, and said it wouldn't follow them. Okay, so it's a little bit more complicated than that. There was a lion that went into one of the rest camps in the Kruger National Park, Bergendal Rest Camp in the south of the park. It was amongst the guests' quarters and the staff quarters, and a decision was made by the park to shoot it. Now, having lived and worked in the Kruger Park and know some people who work in the Kruger Park is probably, in my opinion, the best run game reserve of the national parks in Africa, if not the world. If you think about how massive it is, how well it's maintained, how the services are maintained, and the scientific services and the work they do, whether it be anti-poaching or science, is incredible. If that animal was shot, and as I say, I don't have a lot of that information hasn't been released yet. The fact is it was probably not well. Generally what happens, if old or injured lions are the ones that, or leopards will be the ones that will go into the human habitation within the park, normal healthy lions might get stuck inside, but you can drop a carcass and you can normally drag the carcass of an impala or something, they'll follow you out. So there was probably something wrong, and having known and lived and worked around the Kruger for a while, the majority of the Kruger National Park staff are excellent. Their scientific service and veterinary services are amazing, and their ethics are, as a normal rule, top notch. Of course, there are always exceptions to the rule, but in an area like that, it was probably, the decision was made that the animal was not well and would be destroyed rather than trying to dart it and move it. Now, a lot of people get quite upset about that type of stuff. Now, if the animal, which was probably either injured or highly ill, especially if it's an older animal, could have had TB, etc., even darting an animal like that to try re-release it would probably kill it. When their immune systems are compromised like that, even darting and moving animals like that can be a big problem. Okay. There we go, Noel. That's why they wouldn't dart it. And so it's probably an animal that was not in good condition. Now, thank you, Nunya. Now, we've got some other interesting stuff. Brent in the not-so tent. Brent on the balcony. I don't know what should we call it. So there's something that you guys might have seen while on drive quite a few times, but never have actually had a close look at. So I'm going to make Eggsy do some work as a cameraman, and he shakes his head at me. So I'm going to get the torch ready. So firstly, quiz time. What bird made this beautiful nest? Now, I actually have 3 of them. And don't worry, I didn't steal them from the birds. They were actually abandoned because, there's a hint coming, the girlfriend didn't like them. Yes, all you guys weavers, yes, weavers. Which weavers is the question? What weaver species? No, not a buffalo weaver. It is a weaver, but it is not a buffalo weaver. Actually, I'm going to do this because I need to keep seeing your questions. Black-faced. No, I'm going to get up a picture of the said weaver. But I'm going to see masked weaver, not. Yay, Connie babe, you are exactly spot on. It is indeed the red-headed, oopsie, I pushed the wrong button, weaver. Let me see, I'm sure we can get a nice, oh no, where's the picture of the red-headed weaver? I actually think I've got a nice photograph here. So, oh, Zander, time to work. Oh, I'm getting messages. Here we go. The red-headed weaver. Very pretty. That is a breeding male. Isn't that beautiful? So, okay. Are you out, Zander? Okay, cool. So, interestingly enough, they actually get a yellow head during the non-breeding season. Now, I was absolutely amazed by this nest when we got it. So the reason we have these nests is from the wild dog den, and we had to run cables and stuff to give you the live feed from the, sorry, not the wild dog den, the wild dog Boma. And the weavers were like, hey, this is a great place to put up our nests. And you can see they're not quite finished. But what amazed me, because they're normally very high up in trees, and I've never had a chance to actually really study one of these carefully. Is that too bright, or should I dim the...
That's quite bright.
Wait, I gotta figure out... That better?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what I always thought, and you can see, that it's made up of actually little sticks. So, a lot of them look like they're from the bush willows, and then you can see there's some bush willow leaves and stuff like that. Now, I'm gonna really make Xander work hard now. I'm gonna see if this one works. I think this one's gonna be a bit difficult. I might have to try all 3 to see which is the best one to see down the tube. Okay, I don't know how we're going to do this. Can you see all the way to the back, Sander?
Yeah, you have to turn it a bit more to your, just like that.
Now, what I was amazed is that there's luxury cushioning right on the inside there. So there's softer leaves from a Paltiforum, for those which is the, can I put down?
Yeah.
Thanks. Which is the weeping wattle, and it was amazing, and feathers and soft tufts at the top of grass. So I was absolutely amazed that the amount of work that was actually on the inside, and this was actually so tightly wound around our wire that I couldn't just break it. And look how strong that is. I've had to clip it with pliers to actually get them off our wire. Isn't that absolutely amazing? So that's something quite cool that I hadn't seen in all my time in the bush. I've seen many red-headed weaver's nests, and this was a unique opportunity to get really close to a red-headed weaver's nest. There we go. So the shape of the nest, that's an excellent question from Michael Fleetwood. How does it affect the nest? This is because someone sat on it. So they're not normally shaped like this. This one's a bit squashed. So this is what it would normally be. Now, on certain weaver species, they'll actually create false entrances and all sorts of stuff. But in the red-headed weavers and most of the other weavers, the chicks will actually sit here. And the long entrance is one of the ways they sort of try stop snakes. Now, red-headed weavers are not social nesters like other weavers, so they nest generally singly and quite high up, and they have a big thing for power lines and wires in this area, but normally quite high up in the tree. And with a long entrance like that, it's actually more to give the adults time to try attack a snake before it actually gets in to there. Well, dove, they're not very big birds, so they're about this big, so it's quite easy for the female to sit on the eggs and while they're there, and the male will bring her food. However, once the chicks are hatched, they will basically just fly up, pop their heads in, give them food, and then go out again. So once the babies are hatched, the female will not actually spend time sitting in the nest, or the male, with the babies. Oh, that's quite interesting, Mars. What I'll do is, we're a bit late in the season now. The weavers have already fledged and moved on. But I will keep that in my mind for the next rainy season. See if we can get you some weaver chicks. Now, weaver chicks are a favorite food of many different animals. Genets, slender mongoose, lots of different types of snakes, and even catfish. So quite often, the weavers will nest over water to try stop getting attacked by snakes. However, the babies and fledglings will often fall out, and they become a very big part of a catfish's diet in those situations. Okay, so what other questions have we got here, guys? Yes, Patty, exactly. Better carpenters. Well, I suppose they're actually weavers, because they've actually weaved it all together. Indeed, Mars, architectural wonders. Sinak, I have actually seen black mambas get into weavers' nests. However, the most common snake species that generally will go for the weavers is the boomslang, or directly translated, that is the tree snake. Noel, birds can actually be very successful in stopping snakes attacking their nests, especially birds that live in colonies. Can you imagine hundreds of little beaks pecking at you? So they can be actually quite successful. Obviously, a lot of it depends on the size of the snake. Well, speaking of snakes and whatnot, I was on my way out from the house the other night, and there's actually jackals around my house, and I saw a jackal in the sort of a rainy evening try catch and eat. It looked like an eastern tiger snake. I didn't get a good view. The snake got away, but just outside from our house, I saw a jackal try eat a snake. Could we ask Brian for some more water, please? Thank you. Thank you, Velma. So, Chris, an update on the Hosanna movie that we are planning to do. Unfortunately, for the moment, it is another victim of Corona. All the lodges and stuff are really trying to sort of get all their ducks in a row. I will follow up on that again as soon as I think everything's calmed down. And at the moment, I don't really want to put too much pressure on any of the lodges and that, because they are in, as the rest of the world, in a massive sort of facing massive problems. They might have to retrench huge amounts of staff and things like that just in order to survive through this pandemic. Yvonne, the jackals do not bother the puppy, but the puppy is bothering a cicada, I think. She's just scratching. Yes, but she has looked at them. So the jackals generally stay away from the houses during the day and stuff. And Chloa, you might be able to see, she can't get anywhere. So on this side, I've got a wooden fence, and at the bottom there's chicken wire. It's also to stop the warthogs coming in and eating my grass, and my tomatoes, and my mint, and my thyme, and my chilies, and all that, all my little projects that I'm growing around the garden at the moment. I've got kigilias, I've got sausage trees, I've got baby jackalberries, I've got inyala trees, I've got coral trees, I've got wisterias, I've got trichelias or mahoganies. So I've got lots of different things. Thank you, Nunya. Yeah, so very, very exciting. I like and stuff. So the jackals and the warthogs and the other wildlife that live around can't actually get in to where Chloa runs around at night, so she's quite safe. We don't let her into the back garden where there is just a fence at night, because a leopard can jump the fence. The leopard's unlikely to come into my little courtyard behind me here. Darcy Ann, we don't have rhinos where I live, unfortunately, but the rhinos have visited the live cams, the bush live cams. Do we have a bush live cam, Wium? Do we have?
You mean a highlight?
Do we have a highlight? I think we said we did. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So speaking of that and things coming close to cameras, that'll be. I'll speak about that after this. Let's jump across to some highlights from live bush cams. Hello. Wasn't that wonderful? Now, that's just the last couple of days on the live cams. Thank you, John Guppy. Thank you very much. And you said if the rhinos come close, they do come close to our live bush cams, and nothing came closer than that young baboon who tried to eat one of our cameras this week. We did go wipe the slobber off afterwards and do a bit of a trimming of the branches. Some of you might have seen us up there trimming the branches. So very, very cool. And how cool is the aardvark? Now, the aardvark is at the Leadwood Burrows, which most of you will know was the old hyena den. We are hoping that the hyenas move back into the den, or a den that we can put a camera up at soon. Now, thanks to one of our wonderful patrons, there's going to be more information coming in the next week or so. But we have had a live camera installation sponsored by a wonderful patron, and we'll be making a full announcement on that. But she is a big fan of elephants, so we're going to be hopefully having our first live camera in the Greater Kruger National Park in Big Five country. So that will be coming hopefully in the next 2 weeks, and big thank you. You know who you are, but you will be getting your full kudos shortly. Yes, we can't wait to be able to show another amazing part of Africa to you in the next couple of weeks. So very, very exciting stuff coming up. Michael, Brent, could you speak on the virus effect of the tourism industry in South Africa? I was originally supposed to visit Djuma and Hoedspruit in June, but I'm probably going to have to reschedule. Yes, it has been a massive problem. A lot of the smaller lodges and smaller operators have been hit very, very badly. And all I can do is encourage people, please don't cancel your safari. Rather try reschedule. I know the lodges and the tour operators are doing their best to be able to do that. And the thing is, you've got to realize that the tourism industry feeds a lot of people and a lot of mouths. So if this carries on and retrenchments happen, etc., it could be absolutely catastrophic for the area. So yes, there's been a lot of lodges are operating on skeleton crews, just keeping the maintenance staff, sending everyone else home. But yes, it is affecting the tourism industry very badly. Botswana is basically on complete lockdown because you can't get to Botswana without coming through South Africa, Rwanda, or Kenya, and all of those three countries have complete travel bans for the US and most of Europe and the East. So thank you, White Rhino. Wow, that's awesome news. Yeah, so that is it is a problem, and if this carries on long term, it can possibly have a roll-on effect, such as that if people aren't not employed, not getting jobs, they have families to feed, etc. There might be an uptake in poaching, particularly for meat poaching and things like that. So it's way too early to make any of those calls, etc. We're going to have to wait and see, and let's just hope that the world pulls together, because this is truly a global problem, and the more we work together, I think the better it will be solved. And yeah, it is just one of those things, and the only thing we can do is try put a smile on our faces, stay positive, wash your hands, avoid close contact, and hopefully we'll be able to get through this. I know we will be able to get through it, but let's hope afterwards the world becomes a slightly nicer and closer place because of it. So on that note, I'm going to say goodnight shortly. Again, thank you to everyone, to our patrons especially, and to our wonderful supporters here on Super Chat, and also a very big shout out to all the health workers in the world. I know we've got a few right here, Marcy being one of them, who are doing an amazing job to try curb this global pandemic, and we take our hats off to you, being on the front line of fighting corona, and we have much love and much respect for all of you and the rest of the people trying to control this terrible pandemic through the rest of the world. So we send our love, and hopefully us here at paintedDog.tv can bring you a little joy with some African wildlife 3 times a week live for now. And as well, keep a lookout for scientific videos explained and other videos that are going to be coming out regularly to make sure, for those of you sitting at home, you've got something to watch, and for those of you fighting corona, to give a little bit of joy to your day. Good night.